Hey, good evening, and welcome everyone to another night here at CCRL. Tonight it is the Pro Tier, and we are doing a promotion event. We've got some openings in the Elite Tier, as you saw there on our lead-in. A few spots, but we've got some very fast guys who are ready to take those and start to make a name for themselves in the Elite Tier. Tonight in the commentary box with me, I've got Johnny Damon, one of our Elite Tier stars, Bong It, and Coma Copa. Guys, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hello, hello.
We've got everyone here in the box with us. I guess we'll start with Johnny Damon. Johnny, you led the commentary for the Pro Tier kind of like the second half of the season. Give us a kind of a preview of tonight, and what do you think is going to shake out between these drivers?
So Pro Tier put on quite a show. Jaro's definitely got a lot of pace. Knick Knack, Paddywhack, I can see with a lot of pace as well. And DRL Racerettes has some really good race pace. For him, it's just a matter of finishing all the races and just making sure he can complete. Charlie Golf, he's also got some pace, so he's a guy to keep your eye out for. And I haven't seen Alan J a lot, but from what I've seen, he looked pretty decent as well. And then we got Abdul, who's been running assists in the Pro Tier, so this will be, kind of eye-opening for him in the once he gets into the Elite Tier with no assists.
Yep, very good points there. We've got some cars headed out on track. Looks like Knick Knack first man out. And gotta think this is probably our going to be our lead guy in the session. Coma Copa, you raced against Knick Knack this season. What do you expect to see from him tonight?
Well, I raced. It's a big word. Like I tried to follow him some corner, and he was already flying away. So I don't know if I was racing with him, but yeah, he's really fast. I can see him like in the top 4 because just for the record, like we're looking at whoever will finish top 4 on D6 tonight, and those 4 will have sit in the Elite Tier. I'm kind of excited about that event tonight because I think it's a fair way to promote people. We had kind of a lot of people joining Pro Tier, leaving Pro Tier. So I think it's a fair way for whoever wants to go to Elite Tier, just do 3 short quali. We'll add all the time that they're doing, and whoever will finish in the 4 top position will go and compete with the Elite Tier next season. I'm kind of excited because it's also no assist. It's completely different from what the Pro Tier is offering. So yeah, I can see Knick Knack definitely in this 4th spot. Then I think it's kind of open for the rest of them. Jaro is fast, but I don't know what kind of assist those guys are running usually, so that will make the whole difference, I think.
Yeah, good point. It's one of those things where having practiced with the assists off is going to be a huge advantage to those guys tonight. And moving into the Elite Tier, they're not going to have those assists to be able to lean on. Bong It, Coma Copa talked a little bit about the format for tonight. How did you guys come up with that, and what went into track selection?
As for how we came up with it, it's basically, I guess, a quick discussion between the league advisors, taking their inputs, I guess, on how to efficiently and, I guess, equally choose who's going to be able to move on to the Elite Tier. And as for the track selection, we feel like, I guess, these 3 tracks you can pretty much essentially see everyone's skills, I guess, because these three tracks, they have different types of turns and straights and undulations and stuff like that. So I feel like choosing these tracks would definitely show skills, racecraft, and everything else that the elite tier is looking for. So
Yeah, they seem to be a pretty good sample.
Yeah, if I can add something, is we really wanted to select the people that will do well in the elite tier and represent CCRL every Wednesday on the amazing string that we have and everything that you, Trackside and Dresden are doing. So I think it was important for all of us and all the advisor to be able to select clean people, fast people, and I feel like those tracks are like there is a street one, there is an open one, we'll have a rainy one, so we kind of like judge a little bit all the skills for all the drivers tonight, which I think it's a good representation of what we want in the elite tier next season. So I think it's 3 really good tracks for that.
Yeah, that's a good point, and appreciate all that love, Komakopa. It's been fun getting into the crowd here in CCRL, and it's a good bunch for sure. In the pro tier and elite tier, I've said it before, it's like a huge family here, and we really appreciate everyone who's put in the work, especially you and Bonga with this event. Johnny, we've gotten some initial lap times in. I need your diagnosis here on what's going on.
So Knick-Knack, he put down third fastest time. I did see him get a little loose coming around turn 12, which is kind of where Abdul is going to be heading at the moment as he comes through 10 and 11. I just got word that cockpit cam is forced on. Does anybody know if that is true?
That'd be interesting if that's the case.
Yes, forced cockpit camera is on, so everybody is in the cockpit camera.
Okay.
We might have to rerun it, I guess, eh?
Yeah, we can. Absolutely. Probably give us a little bit more representative time. Hey, that's it's just another way to add just a little bit of difficulty there for the drivers tonight. One more assist for them to have to overcome.
Absolutely, and you can see Knick-Knack and DRL Racerettes are wasting zero time. Whether cockpit camera is on or not, these guys want to get out and continue to put down some really, really fast laps. Cockpit camera, it's a lot of fun. It can be extremely close, similar to realistic. The only downside is your awareness around you becomes smaller. Just not understanding who's right next to you, if they're really, cleared in front of you, so you can slide back behind them, and then just not having. Like, you'll have the proximity arrows, but you tend to pay attention less because more of your screen is covered up by that cockpit.
Yeah.
So it can definitely make things very, very interesting. But yeah, no, I mean, I've raced with some guys that have had cockpit camera on, and it creates issues in regards to racecraft when you're side by side. Just not being aware of your surroundings, and it kind of, there's a lot of blind spots that way.
I haven't seen anything in the chat to say that these guys are ready to throw in the towel with the cockpit cams, so maybe something we can fix for sessions 2 and 3.
Yeah, that sounds good. If they're okay with the cockpit cam, then we can we can essentially just run it like this for this first track, and then on the next one we'll fix it.
It's it's nothing to shake a stick at, though. I'm not ashamed to say I just came off traction control completely there at the end of season 3, and there's a learning curve turning off these assists. I'm sure probably Bongit can attest to that. Surely all 3 of you guys.
Yeah, but I guess I've been though I may not have the pure speed and stuff. I've been pretty much racing on F1 without the assist, except for the corner lines on cockpit view. So it is very challenging at times, I guess, especially depending on the track that you're in as well. But when you do put in that that complete lap, that full clean lap with no assist on, it's very satisfying.
I bet.
I just used ABS on assist. I started at the end of the season 3 with Pro Tier. I was manual gear. I removed I was automatic and I'm manual now, and I'm just using the ABS. I practice without, but it's kind of tricky on some tracks. I'm not really good at adjusting my setup. Like, I need to understand that better to be able to use no ABS. But yeah, Bongit is right. Like, when you do a really clean lap when you have no assist is really satisfying, and you feel like, maybe not like Max, but you feel like Leclerc sometime, or Lewis when there is no DSQ.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started on that.
So I think Abdul is struggling with the cockpit view. I don't know if that is really fair for him to, like, what do we think here? He cannot put a time without going out of the track.
Yeah, I think we probably just go ahead and restart. What do you guys think?
Yeah. All right, let's restart.
All right.
Sweet. So I will go ahead and, if you want to make it easier, just tell everybody to retire from the session, and then that way we can get right back into the lobby. You don't have to re-invite everybody and get going that way.
Yep.
But no assist is extremely fun. I will say in this game, it's way better than 22. I turned off all my assists in 22, and I tell you, that was ice skating. I don't like ice skating. So being able to turn them off in this game, it was an easy transition. And actually got word from some of the folks in the elite tier, such as Walrus, myself, Guzman, and Reimer. We are all going to be turning off our lines next season. So,
wow,
nice.
That should make things a little bit more interesting for the entire league as a whole. And also Knick-Knack Paddywhack, I have raced with him in a few other leagues, and he has ran quite a bit of races without line on already. He doesn't use any assists as well. So he's very familiar to driving with no line. So he will kind of have a little bit of a jump on, all of us in the elite tier. But yeah, it'll be fun.
So while we're kind of in this lull here, waiting for everyone to get out of the session, let's talk about these guys a little bit, because I've done a little bit of research here to kind of see who might end up on top and who's basically earned their way into the elite tier. And one guy I was super impressed with was Jaro. He was the highest point scorer in the pro tier out of all these guys. And if you look, there's a little bit of a shuffle as far as points go, because some of these guys weren't at all the events. But if you look at the points per event, Jaro was the highest of any of these guys here. Nick Knack definitely giving him a run for his money there, only being in 4 events. But and there, there's obviously some drama that happens throughout these races that will affect points. But Jaro, a guy who's actually very consistent when it comes to scoring points. But himself, DRL, and Nick Knack, yeah, those 3 guys, big point scorers, and I think will probably make a huge dent in the elite tier if they get promoted today. Any thoughts?
I think you're right.
I can see that happening. I definitely agree with that. Jaro, when I was down in the pro tier for a little while, Jaro definitely gave me a run on some tracks. Strategy really kind of affected that. So I can definitely see him, putting a little bit of a dent. And I can see Nick Knack putting a dent in the elite tier for sure. He is a little bit quicker than me overall race pace. So he'll definitely be running up in the front. And Jaro, I can see competing. I mean, Mark, he came into the elite tier at the same time as I did full time. And Mark definitely, made a name for himself. So I can see Jaro and Mark competing, around the same position, battling each other, whether that's midfield or even potential podium spots as well.
I agree with that. I think it will all depend on how clean they can keep the battles. If I remember correctly, DRL was involved in a good number of incidents at the beginning of Pro Tier, and he's a lot more clean now. Jaro, I don't really remember, but I think I saw his name in some of the incident as well. So I feel like when you're in elite tier, you're expecting to be able to race wheel to wheel, but pretty clean. So I think it will all depend on that and on the, like, we'll have a new point system, we'll have a new license system, or like I think it's the same license system, but it's pretty punishing when you're involved in an incident. So it will be interesting to see like who can be fast, but also who can keep the whole season really clean.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there, Kamakopa, about the new point system. And, if we've got anybody in the elite tier here who hasn't heard this information yet, shame on you for not reading what the programs that CRL is spitting out. But, yeah, we've got a new point system, which is going to award points all the way down to 19th position. So I think that really does 2 things, right? It's going to give us a bigger points total at the end of the season, which gives us a little bit more excitement, right? But it also encourages attendance too, right, to every race, because every point, every position is going to matter now, right? Except for the last one, which is not scoring any points. So I really like it.
Yeah, and we will also open the battle for like after the 10th position, because even if you are 15, we saw a lot of people like, I'm 17, I will just retire and I will enjoy my night with my wife and kids. It's not happening anymore. Like even if you're 15, then you have to battle for point, because at the end of the season it will count. So I think it's making the whole, you're right with the attendance and you're right with everything you said, but also I think even if you're not fighting for the podium in the elite tier, you can still fight for good points. Even if you're that race, you're after the 10th position. So I think it adds a little bit of excitement for the race.
Yeah, and I really like it. I really do like it. It's going to make... You're right, because, I mean, you're not just fighting for the championship in the elite tier. You're fighting to stay in the elite tier, and that's what these guys are doing tonight. They're fighting their way into the elite tier because we've had those guys, take exit stage right from the elite tier this past season. So a lot to play for, and I think it's gonna spice things up in the elite tier races for sure.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I'm completely new in the F1 world, but I'm also completely new in the league event and with the admin thing. Like I jump into the admin thing in CCRL like maybe a month ago, something like that, and I'm amazed on how Urban and Onyo and all the admin, they consider every single suggestion. Like they want what is the best for the league, and this point system, they talked about it. Like we zoomed, we met all together, we talked for nights and nights about what will be the best, how to put that in place. I'm amazed on like the time that they're putting in that. What is the best for all the driver? We consider every single person in elite tier, but also in the pro tier, and really that I don't know if there is a lot of racer tonight that are listening to us, but I'm kind of proud to be part of the admin because they're making a lot of things happening for you to enjoy your night, your season, and it's just amazing.
Well, I can tell you that the racers are listening. We've just heard from Merck in the chat. He is stating it's going to be a strong field this year in the elite tier, and I have to agree. So we're just getting ready to get things re-kicked off, right, gents?
Yep.
Yeah, just resetting it up, and we'll be sending it out very shortly.
Very good.
That was just a practice, right?
Yeah, just feeling it out for the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I saw the formation lap turned on for the race, and some people got DSQ'd for going backwards on the track. So
Yep. So I guess it's a good time because SP just posted in the chat, gonna miss the elite tier. So I think Komakopi, you want to give the official news there?
Yeah, so SP has other commitment on Wednesday night now, so he cannot race on elite tier. So he asked all of the admin if he can race with pro tier, which of course we welcome him. Has an amazing pace, and I can see him fighting for the championship with a guy that is also super fast, and his name is like Trackside, something like that. Really fast guy also, so I can see them fighting with also, I can see Bungit right there. I'll try to do my best with removing assists to still kind of creating some trouble for you, clean troubles. So I'm excited. I think there is not that huge gap in between pro tier and elite tier. There is also a lot of new guys joining, and we are recruiting right now, so we have no idea what's their pace, but we are just hoping that they will be here every single Monday and we'll have fun with them. So yeah, that's excited. But yes, SP will race with the pro tier next season.
Yep, and we're looking forward to having him for sure. We've had some really good battles in the pro tier. Like the last 5 or 6 races of the season were so exciting to watch, and SP is just going to add to it for sure. So I'm looking forward to watching all these races back, to be honest.
Yeah.
I hope I do a good job catching everything for you guys.
Yeah, we got to give a shout out here to Johnny Damon. He's in the booth with us tonight and has been leading the charge on commentary for the pro tier. the second half of this season, and it's been awesome. So, hey, we really do thank you a lot, Johnny, because I can tell you, I speak from experience. It's not an easy job. So, thank you very much.
So, Johnny,
100%
are you doing it next season, like the whole season? You'll come in for Pro Tier?
Yes, I will be doing all of Pro Tier next season. The only time I won't be doing Pro Tier is going to be like 2 weeks in January. I want to say it's like the last 2 weeks of January. I will be traveling for a wedding. But yes, I will be here every Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time, commentating for you all and, trying my best to put on a show. I usually bring up a bunch of different track maps and bring in some data and stuff like that when I come to the booth, but I really enjoy it. And, I'm only looking to expand my commentary duties. I do in a few other leagues as well. My end goal is to hopefully get recognized. I want to go back to school for sports media, so maybe someday you'll see me on national television. Who knows?
Oh, nice. That's definitely going to happen eventually, for sure.
Yeah,
With
good luck.
the good content that we're hearing from you, definitely.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
All right, so we're back in here. It's Q1. If the track looks a little familiar, it's because it is. So we're going to kick things off here in Spain. And I didn't notice any bumping in the track. Did you guys on that last iteration?
No, not at all.
I'm not sure if any of you have heard, but iRacing has taken over the NASCAR series. So I am hoping at some point iRacing will take over the Formula One game on console and start creating Formula One. But we get a new engine for F124, so hopefully a lot of the bugs that we've had over the recent years get worked out. It's not going to be whatever Codemasters and EA are using currently, as they have not changed the engine, or more or less say the background software that runs this game since, I want to say it's like 2014 or 2015, something like that. So it's almost been like 10 years, and there's a lot of bugs. There's still, some of these cars, if you look at the files within the game, they're actually listed as the old team names, such as Renault and whatever else. I really only got into F1 like 3 years ago. But yeah, it's going to be a new engine, and hopefully a lot of these bugs get worked out, and we have a much better game that we can actually play and enjoy.
Yes, totally agree. I'm looking forward to the new engine, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Nick Knack can do on this lap. He's just gone over to start his lap here. It's going to be a fast time, I got to think.
Absolutely. He's working his way through turn 3 right now, heading towards turn 4, which is one of those corners where you want to get on the brake and just fairly quickly and let the speed and the momentum of the car take you through that corner. You don't really need to slow down a whole lot. And then the turn he's taking now, it's the same thing, just want to downshift pretty quickly, let your momentum take you through the entrance, slide you to the right-hand side over by the sausage curb on the exit, and then you'll just carry your momentum up the hill into that right-hander before the DRS straight. Coming through turn 12 now, it's another corner where you just kind of let off, let the car roll through, and then you're pretty much flat out for the last 2 corners as he's heading across the line with a 111.9. So compared to what he was running in the previous session that we just had, he is a just about a full second faster. So having cockpit cam on makes a huge difference compared to running, the TV pod.
I really love the TV pod. I don't know why.
Yeah, I run TV pod offset, but I adjusted a lot of my camera settings, so it's similar to TV pod. It's just when you look back, you're going to have a little bit different of an angle. It's going to more angle you towards the right-hand side of your car, which if you're doing a lot of your defending, you're going to be on the inside. So a lot of these a lot of these tracks have more left-hand turns than right-hand turns. So just having the TV pod offset allows you to see more on your right rear, and especially if you're defending towards the inside line.
Wow, that is really more in depth than I really ever thought about with this game. Holy cow! So we've got our first round of laps in, and Nick Nack out in front right now by about 5/10. But look at Charlie Golf pipped Jaro currently by a 10th.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Charlie's definitely a guy to look out for. He's got a lot of pace, and he was actually pretty competitive in the pro tier when he was around. He was really good in qualifying. I think just for him, it's kind of tightening up that race pace and consistency, and then you can definitely see him, running somewhere close around midfield or the top 5.
So trackside that you commented the elite tier the whole season, and you saw all of them progressing throughout the season. Do you think like Nick Nack has the pace as a Guzman, Juarez, or Reimer? Like who will you compare his pace to an elite guy?
So that's a good question. I've kind of asked myself that a few times. I think I'm not sure that Nick Nack's on par with a Walrus. Around some tracks, maybe, and I don't. I haven't really seen Nick Nack drive. Right, I've only raced against him, but I think he's probably, if I had to guess, and Damon probably knows him a little bit better, but I had to say he's probably a track specialist, more so in the elite tier than an outright pace guy like Walrus. He might be more of kind of a Reimer type guy where he's got his tracks that he does really well at, and then he might struggle at a few other tracks. And I could be wrong about that, but I could see him being very good at some tracks like Mexico, Spain, for example, Hungary, and maybe some of the more higher downforce tracks like Spa, Vegas. I could see him maybe struggling a little bit with. But that's just kind of, I kind of see him slotting in. So I guess to get back to your question, I see him slotting in somewhere around Reimer. Just in, maybe Urban. With the Guzman, back to Urban, look somewhere in there. But definitely at the sharper end of the elite tier for sure.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think Juarez this year was like at the top. I know they are talking about removing a lot of all the assists for next season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Nick Nack that will be a good first race to see where he is, but I can see him a little bit behind those guys on some tracks, and probably battling with Urban and Reimer. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Johnny, what do you think?
I agree to a little bit of a disagree. I've raced with Nack for probably 2 years now. We've raced in multiple different leagues, and we tend to follow each other around. He's a part of my league now, and he's missed quite a bit of races, but he's sitting second place in points, right behind me. Got more wins than me, but I am what you call the Jarno Opmeer of the leagues. I got more second place finishes than I do have wins. So Knack is he's very quick. He does have some tracks that he's not a very big fan of. But he is a guy to keep your eye out for. I think he could be up in the front competing for some race wins in the elite tier. And I can see him putting himself right in the picture for the championship in the drivers' championship.
Well, he's
first you will have to qualify for that event.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kawakopa. He's just gone across the line for a second time and improved his time up to a 1:11.6. And Jaro now just across the line, beating DRL by just under a couple tenths to take that second position. So after 2 rounds around Spain, we're sitting Knick-Knack Paddywhack on the top, Jaro second, DRL third, and Charlie Golf sitting in that 4th position.
So are the elite tier guys that are watching us tonight, are they scared a little bit or what?
I'm not sure. They're like shaking in their boots, but
they should comment.
Yeah, we've gotten a little bit. They've commented a little bit. Guzman has stopped by to say hello. SP's watching. So yeah, if we got any more people out there, drop us a line in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking. I'm trying to think of the last time that we saw someone with this kind of pace in the pro tier that the elite tier guys got worried about, and it might have been like Hayden when Damon and Hayden came up to the elite tier. I think there was a little bit of a small earthquake that happened in the elite tier that people started to get a little frantic about. But yeah, Knick-Knack is for sure going to make some ripples in that elite tier pond for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I try my hardest when it comes to racing in that elite tier. I could have put in a little bit more practice towards the end of the season. Championship was already decided. Top 3 was pretty much decided. I really had no more movement because the points gap was so big. But I'm looking to make a splash coming into the elite tier next season. I'm gonna put in a lot of practice, put those laps down, and might have to kind of slide off a little bit of my other activities I do with some of the other leagues I race in. But yeah, no, CCRL has been a very clean league to race in. I enjoy, coming in every Wednesday night and having maybe one safety car. The elite tier, towards the end of the season, we had a few races where there was no safety cars, so everything really boiled down to overall race pace and tire strategy, which is it's a lot of fun to be able to have those type of races, not knowing who is going to really win, because you got to think about it. If you're burning fuel, you got to figure out when you're going to start saving fuel. And if you got somebody on your tail, you better be understanding where you got to save it, because it can make things very, very interesting. And I definitely, have to give a shout out to everybody that's a part of CCRL, being one of the cleanest leagues out there. It's got some really fast guys, competitive drivers who are extremely smart about when to make moves, how to defend. So I enjoy, being a part of this league.
One thing that I kind of thought of while Johnny was talking about that, and totally agree with everything he said there. I think I've nailed down who Knick-Knack kind of reminds me of pace-wise, and I mean him no disrespect, and this is purely in the driving sense, but he definitely reminds me of NLC type of pace and style driving. NLC was a guy we had in the elite tier for a while. And Johnny, you may have been the one that replaced him, but very quick driver, and definitely had like some very particular ways. It just Knick-Knack style kind of reminds me of NLC a little bit.
I can definitely agree with that. I've raced with NLC a few times in the elite tier when he was around. So I can definitely agree with that. I definitely see Knick-Knack, giving Walrus a run for his money for a little bit. It really boils down to consistency, and Walrus nailed that at the end of the season. Just putting down consistent laps, having a really good race pace. I didn't really. I was watching the end of the Qatar event, and you had him unmuted. What is his secret sauce?
I did that on purpose. I couldn't let the cat out of the bag. I'm the only one that knows it. No, that was I'm gonna blame it on my equipment, but it was definitely operator error. He was talking about the manner in which he's turned off the assists and talked about ABS definitely being the game changer when it came to pace. He said traction control, not really a huge difference maker when it came to outright pace, but definitely being able to capitalize in those braking zones. And Z-Milk was a guy that he noted as being able to do it really well, right? Just slamming the brakes on, not losing traction, not locking up, but maximizing that braking distance, and then being able to rotate the car and then put the power down. He said that, I mean, obviously that's the basic principles of racing, right? But when you're able to achieve those to such a high degree, then it makes all the difference. And that's kind of what he was alluding to. So, and if he's listening, hopefully I got that right. I'm fairly certain that's the conversation we had, but that was after 3 hours of watching you guys go around the track. So I may have forgotten a thing or two.
Yeah, no, Walrus definitely, had an eye-opening for me at the end of the season. I race in, esports events, and there are quick guys, and I could, with some of those fast guys that I raced against, I definitely can see Walrus being, competitive with them. I usually shadow around midfield in those events. I qualify about 10th to 12th. I tend to be extremely consistent, put myself in a points-paying position. But Walrus, he's on another level toward the end of the season, and I was trying to figure him out, and I kind of got him figured out a little bit. So now it's just a matter of, keeping up with it. I've noticed, for example, Zandvoort, because it's my favorite track on the entire calendar. I can burn over 3 laps of fuel at that track because I don't know how to slow myself down. But, I was able to keep up with him at one point in the race. And that was because he was burning some of that ERS. And when I saw him blinking in front of me, I still had about 45% left. So, it makes me wonder if that's kind of how he creates that gap. Because once you break that slipstream off the car from behind you, you're just going to continuously grow your gap further and further because they have nothing to tow them around the track. So, he is very quick, but he's very, very enjoyable to race with because it gives you something to look forward to every week. My one challenge was, can I keep up with Walrus? Yes, he has exceptional speed in qualifying, and he makes it a lot of fun. And I'm watching right now, Abdul, it looked like he was kind of battling Mr. Charlie out here on Charlie's flyer. But Walrus is really, really fun to go into every week of can I beat this guy? Can I keep up with him? Do I have potential to out qualify him? So I'm looking forward to what the change is going to do next season when the four of us, myself, Reimer, Walrus, and Guzman, turn offline. I think it will probably pull us a little bit closer in regards to being competitive against one another. So I'm excited.
Yes, yeah, as we all are to see that battle happen. We've run out of time here in the first of 3 sessions. Time winding down. Nick Knack gonna get a last run at it here. He's already your winner in event 1 with a 111.4. He's almost 5/10 up on Jaro and DRL, both coming in very closely. So that second position contested down to the hundreds, and Charlie Golf taking that 4th position by almost just more than a second and a half over Allen and Abdul. So we'll see if track number 2 is gonna play into someone else's hands.
So Bongit, who is the master in all the stats, like how is that time compared to the pole position in the elite tier this season in Spain?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Oh, that's a good question. Might have
You
to
can-
dig. Yeah, I might have to dig back into our stats and compare what the race pace is and the quality pace is. It might take a little bit though.
I've got it right here.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Well, we didn't. Did we run Spain last season?
Doesn't look like we did.
I don't think we did.
Oh,
It
tricky
was,
question.
it was one of the tracks that did not make it on the calendar. And season 2.1 isn't going to be. We're not going to be able to use that as a benchmark because the track changed for season 3. So we're not going to have a data point for that question.
do we have the next track?
Yep.
What is the.
Like, I mean, the pole position time?
Austria? I don't think we raced Austria last season either. No.
Did we
Great.
run it for the? We ran it for the tournament though, with Limitless.
Okay.
So let's see.
Yeah.
And you don't even have Baku on last season's calendar either.
So Guzman was our fastest man in CCRL for the Austria tournament with Limitless, and he did a 104.6.
And that was dry conditions.
That was dry conditions. All right. Anyote in the comments think we did Spain in F122. Yeah, I think we did, but the track changed for F123. Or did it change for 22?
For 23.
Changed for 23.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. This year was the first year in the new format.
Not even at the beginning of the game. I think they updated it later.
Yeah, I think you're right.
No?
That's right.
Possibly.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
All right, so second event in Austria. One of my favorites.
I'm not
So-
too big of a fan of Austria, to be fair. That's the one track I tend to struggle with, but that just allows everybody to be fast. Austria is, a really quick track, and if you miss the mark, you miss the mark. You're going to get nothing out of it. So,
Yep.
it's a fun track, but I hate racing it. So
So
I'll just put it that way.
Austria, and is it Russia? I can't remember the other one. Are like two of the biggest, well, Spa too, really. Two of the biggest car limited tracks, right? So you got car limited tracks and driver limited tracks, but Austria comes down to, not what you can do as a driver, but what did your manufacturer do for you? And
My manufacturer doesn't do enough for me.
and the way you can tell that is like this year and last year in Austria, especially, we saw for a majority of the race, both drivers in each team running, either first and second or third and fourth or fifth and sixth. Where the driver can't really make a difference. It's just down to the car. But when every car is equal performance, we get some spectacles.
Oh, I'll put it this way. I fired my race engineer to the point where I don't even hear the race engineer anymore in the game. Ever since the last update, my race engineer doesn't talk to me. So he doesn't tell me my tires are starting to go away, none of that. He's dead silent. So I enjoy it, I don't need an engineer. He's fired. So because he just tells me information that's very, very wrong. And
he's
I don't
talking to
need
you
it.
when you break.
Yes, he's talking to me
Mid-turn.
on the break. Yep.
Just like GP and Max.
I'm hitting the button 50 times.
I'll see what I can do for you. Don't know what I can do, but I'll see. Yeah, no, it's just, it makes it a little difficult sometimes, especially when it comes to the weather aspect. It's like, well, yeah, rain's going to come in 15 laps. All right, so that should take about 8 or 15 minutes, should take about 8 laps, and then next thing you know, it doesn't even show up. And you just keep asking, what's the weather going to be? And it's like, oh, rain will be here in 15 minutes. Another 10 minutes goes by, rain will be here in 15 minutes. Well, when is it going to rain? Because clearly it hasn't started.
Ooh, let me go at it first. Yeah, because my answer is going to be short and quick because I've since I think F1 2019 is when I started turning it off. So it wouldn't be much of a fair comparison, I guess. But um, at the start, I guess you lose space because you're trying to figure out, I guess, your breaking points and how to I guess um, feather the throttle and the brake pedal in as well. So I guess it comes down to a lot of practice, really. Um, but once you get good at it, once you get comfortable with it, you're definitely going to get at least a couple of seconds from your, I guess, slower pace, I would say. Maybe
Yeah.
on mute.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think the one thing that I have found when turning assists off is not to do more than you can really kind of stomach at once, right? So like if you go from full assist to turning them all off, then you're going to have a lot to react to. Whereas if you kind of slowly turn them off one by one, you can kind of tune. You're tuning your muscle memory is basically what you're doing. So
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I started in 22 with no assists, and that was ice skating, so it kind of made a very easy transition to this game. I mean, it really comes down to, putting in the practice. I go in time trial. I tend to run close to 40, 50 laps of time trial a week to prepare myself for a race. And the only reason why I do that is I'm trying to find where I'm losing time. So once you start to figure out, okay, I need a break maybe 5 meters later or 5 meters earlier, and just getting that down, it makes a big difference. Another thing is when you're running no ABS, I have told everybody I've raced with, I never adjust my brake bias anywhere higher between 55 and 60%. I usually tend to run between 55 and 57%. And the only reason why I do that is it puts more brake on your front tires than on your rears. And so if you start to find yourself locking up in the rear, which is causing you to get sideways going into a corner, just go up a click on your brake bias. I wouldn't go, 2 clicks or 3 clicks, because then you're going to start losing more time doing that. But if you go up a click, it will help you keep those rear tires from locking. And then also, when it comes to running differential, there's maybe one or two tracks on the entire calendar that I run 50%. No, Abdul. Abdul just missed turn 3 and drove straight off the track into the wall. But
Yep, that's learning no ABS.
Yep, especially
Good,
especially in
point.
the especially in the rain. But when it comes to dry, well, when you're also racing in the rain with no ABS, you don't want to really hit 100% brake. Oh no! Don't tell me, Charlie. Oh, okay, Charlie's still good. But when you're running in the rain with no ABS, you don't want to necessarily go to 100%. If you do go to, like, when you're on your brake, if you're at 100% brake pressure, you immediately want to start to let off. Obviously, your braking zones are going to be a little bit sooner than doing it in the dry. But like when you're in the rain, you got to kind of ease yourself into the brakes and then also let off the brake as well, so you're not sliding across the track towards the wall. Just kind of like what Abdul did, which is very unfortunate. No ABS makes a huge difference, like Walrus said. And then traction control is just easing onto the throttle. You got to be smooth with it. If you're not smooth with the throttle, you're gonna cause rear tire spin, and you're just gonna spin yourself out. So you just got to be extremely careful easing onto the throttle. Don't downshift too many gears. That's where the practice comes into play, understanding what gear I need to be in every corner. And if you're finding yourself to get that rear tire spin, maybe go up a gear. So instead of being in third gear, be in fourth gear, just to kind of help you with a little bit of traction through that.
That is free advice that you should probably be charging for, JD. Good, solid advice there.
Do we know what kind of assist the ET guys are running? Like, do you think it will be a trouble for some of the ET guys next season, or?
That's a good point too.
I mean, just racing with some of them, and I'm sure Bong can attest to this as well. I believe towards the end of the elite tier, towards the end of elite tier, a lot of people or everybody had to turn off all their assists except for corner line. So I think that will, it's going to be kind of similar pace. Obviously, some people are going to be practicing within their time off. or their summer break, we can call it. Um, but I think, when we get into the elite tier, you'll see some guys have found some pace and maybe gotten a little bit more familiarity with, wow, Nat just put down an absolute flyer in the rain. Had a 113.1. But so you'll see some of the guys that might have been running medium TC start to find a little bit more pace now that they've raced the back half of the season without traction control. And so it'll be interesting to see, where everybody stacks up. And I think it's going to take, what have we got, like a 20 race calendar going into Elite Tier next season? So I think it will take probably 4 or 5 races to really figure out where everybody's going to stack up in the field, especially when, your top 4 or 5 guys are going to be running no corner line as well. So we're going to also have to ourselves find a little bit more pace. And once you get down the corner line too, you'll actually, or running no corner line, you'll actually be a little bit quicker. And the reason being is because you're not paying attention to the braking points on the racing line when that is on the track. You're actually looking at your braking boards. I've noticed when you have corner line on, it tends to make you brake 25 meters before the braking zone. So because some of the tracks will be like, oh, you got to brake at the 100-meter board. And that's true. The 100-meter board is where you want to brake. But when you get the corner line on, you're braking at the 125 meters because that's where the corner line is telling you to brake. It's just a matter of you putting in the repetition to say, well, I can actually brake, 25 meters later than I was before. So it'll take about 4 or 5 races to see where the whole field stacks up, and it'll make things very interesting next season. And I think everybody's gonna enjoy it.
So we had some issues with some of the assists going into that last race. We're gonna get that fixed. We're getting everyone into a new lobby, and then we will get back to a wet Austria. Forecast is rain for the whole day, so they won't be coming back to a sunny track. I can almost guarantee it.
Still raining there.
I imagine it'll still be raining when we get back in there.
Yep. So I have another question for you, Trackside.
Okay.
You can tell that I prepared that stream pretty well.
I'm glad you
did. You're racing on controller, correct?
That's correct.
Do you know if any of the elite guys are racing on controller? Because I don't know how you can do that without any assist. Like I don't understand. But do you know if there is any elite tier driver that are still on controller?
The last one I knew was Leisig, and he switched over to wheel and pedals at the start of season 3. So no, I don't know of anybody in the elite tier who's on a controller, and there may be, and I'm sure there's still quite a few in the chat.
Rujaf, is it on controller?
Rujaf? Possibly. I don't know.
How do you do that? How do you have enough finger to brake, accelerate, and shift, and I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's all in the muscle memory in your fingers, right? And
Yeah.
as I'm getting older, the arthritis is starting to hinder me. But I don't know. It's when I get my wheel, I have a wheel and pedals. I just don't have anywhere to like really set them up and leave them set up, so they end up just collecting dust. But when I get them out, I'm a little bit slower on that setup because I don't have that that muscle memory built up on that device, right? So I just stay with the controller because I'm a little bit quicker on that. I know if I actually invested in the equipment, that I could be quicker on a wheel and pedal. But maybe one day when I start to lose my grip strength a little bit. But it's all just in the feel, right? And for me too, a lot of it is in the hearing too, right? So and maybe some people are like, what in the hearing? But like just hearing that car, right, and hearing the engine tone, and picking up any kind of slight, bursts in throttle lets me know how much to dial it back or apply throttle, and then it's just becomes muscle memory at that point, and just doing laps on that track the same way these guys do it on a wheel and pedal.
Yeah, I don't like. I tried to do like a lap with the controller. Impossible. Like I cannot even make a corner with it.
Yeah, it's I guess it's just all about what how you devote your time, and how you practice. But I wish I had a good set of. I've got a decent wheel. I've got the Logitech G29 or whatever it is.
Oh, that's the one I have. Yep.
And I would really like to get some decent pedals with feedback, because the pedals I have are just regular Logitech pedals. So something like load cell, I feel like I could really take advantage of and put in some decent times. But maybe one day.
Yeah, there is other priorities.
Yeah, I've got a real car I'd love to put money into.
Is it a real F1 car? You joining F1 in your life?
He's going to work with it. Dresden also has one. He's doing deliveries with a Formula One car.
Dresden, I could see it.
A McLaren one.
They got their Lamborghinis and Porsches, just out there cruising around, they treat it like, driving an F1, making sure they're hitting their apexes and stuff like that. That's their practice, right?
For who?
For you. While you're driving your car, you're going through a corner. And
I do. Yeah. I live on like a backcountry road, and it's windy, and I abuse the car. That's for sure.
Ooh, and Alan just goes around in turn 4.
So we got 16 minutes here in Austria. It's wet, and these guys they're going to have a lot of opportunity to put in a hot lap, right? Because these wet tires on this wet track, I mean, you could do multiple laps. I mean, how much fuel do you think these guys are running and expect to, you think they're going to go the whole time on a set of tires?
I do not. So usually when I'm running, a wet qualifying, I will do about 10 kilograms of fuel. On this track, it's probably going to be around 8 to 9 laps of fuel. And I'll run, a flyer, and then I turn off my ERS, just, build it back up, which there's actually a really nice trick to being able to build your ERS up pretty quickly. I do it under virtual safety cars as well. And then you'll run another flyer, probably build it back up, and maybe run another one. But if you start to see that dry line really forming, then most people will go in and put on a new set of intermediates, maybe go a click or two down in the fuel, and then just do 2 more flying laps to, finalize everything.
I'm learning a lot tonight.
I'm taking notes over there is Bong It as Nick Nack sets the first time of this session, a 113, and Jaro across the line, a half second behind.
There's also, I don't know if any of you know, the quickest way to warm up your tires without actually, swerving back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I know the actual F1 technical way to do it. I'm not sure if you've found. I want to hear what your way is in case it's something I don't
just
already
brake
know.
a lot.
Yeah.
I go fast,
So-
I brake, I go fast, I brake, and that's how I warm up my tires.
Yep. I'm not sure if you've noticed trackside. There's a few races I would race with you, and I come out on my out lap before you, and the next thing you know, I see you just coming through like a Lamborghini just flying down the interstate. But the easiest way to warm up your tires is I usually live around third, fourth gear and sit almost full throttle and just hold down on the brake pedal. Not 100% brake pedal, just probably like anywhere between 15 to 25% brake, and just drive around the track like that, and that will warm up your tires. That's the fastest way to warm them up without putting any wear into your tire. So when I come around to start my lap, I'm at either 0% or 1% tire wear. That is, yeah, it just warms them up, and the other little trick is up your brake bias. So I'll tend to up mine between 65-70% when I do my out lap. And that will give you a little bit more of an even tire temperature between your front and your rear tires. And I can go through, all sorts of tricks and stuff I know about the game. Fastest way to regenerate your ERS is just being like third or fourth gear, apply 100% throttle, like 40% brake pressure, and you'll see your ERS or your battery, skyrocket back up. You'll also burn fuel by doing that as well. But the easiest way to burn fuel is being like second gear, full throttle, with, brake being applied as well. And so when it comes to, green flag restarts after a safety car or something like that, I will be the Kimi Räikkönen of the entire field, just driving a straight line, holding down the throttle and applying that brake pressure. And my tires will be about 195 to 205 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't know what that is in Celsius, can't tell you. I think it's like 93 degrees Celsius to 97, I believe. But yeah, those are just some of the tricks I know. Is just you don't have to be treating your out lap like you're doing a hot lap. Just because you put that tire wear into your tires, and it's not going to really do you any good towards the end of your run on your out lap. You tend to actually lose time doing that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know that's a big in real life no accelerator and brake at the same time. And if you don't believe me, you can ask Nico Hulkenberg back in his Renault days. But I'm with Bong It. Heavy braking heats up that caliper and rotor and provides temperature to the core of the tire, then radiates out to the carcass. That's what I know, and that's typically what I do, hard braking into the corners. I try and stay out of the throttle as much as I can on safety laps just to kind of preserve my ERS. But yeah, that's very interesting and good info. I'm going to file it away in my Pro Tier notebook for tonight.
So I was
I'm
on
all
Abdul,
about, helping.
and I think he's also learning no traction because he's just wanted to start a hot lap and he went on the throttle at the beginning of the straight and just spun out and then tried to rejoin, going a little bit back way on the track, and they got DSQ from that. So
Oh no, and it looks like who was that? Somebody just
Alan.
got
Oh,
Yeah.
Alan got disqualified for blocking pit lane.
Yep.
So we got Nick Knack, Jaro, DRL, and Charlie all on the track.
So Allen going to take a DSQ, the second man to do so in this session. Abdul Rahman also out. So we've got our 4 finishers here at Austria, but in what order are they going to finish? It's looking very strongly like Nick Knack going to take another first place out of here.
It's pretty close in between Jaro and TRL.
It is. And one thing I was going to ask either you or Komakopa was, are the finishing orders tonight going to dictate where these guys are placed into what team? Are they going to be able to pick based on how they finish? How's that going to work?
That's a really good question. I
don't think we've decided it, right?
No, I don't think we talked about it. I think they want to open dibs sometime this week. I can see that the first of this event choosing his constructor first and then going down the line like that, but we didn't really talk about it.
Sure.
But that is the fair way to go about it, I guess. Whoever's at the top gets the first dibs and so on, right?
Yeah, and it's a good chance that a couple of these guys are going to be teammates, right? Because we've looked, and both Alfa Romeo slots open, one Alpine slot open, and a Ferrari slot open. So good probability a couple of these guys who have been battling in the pro tier could be teammates in the elite tier this season.
Yep. I think some of them are changing. Like, what was the bet in between Curveball and Bonnet and Onyo and Owa? Like, whoever finishes
so
in front
the bet
getting the
is
Red Bull.
between Owa and is it Pontiac? Yeah, so the bet between them is whoever finishes the season higher on points between the two of them gets to take the Red Bull. So I think Onyote and Owa are going to be moving into the Red Bulls, and then Pontiac and Curveball be headed back to the Alpha Tauris.
Well, that's a pretty rude downgrade.
Yeah, not an upgrade for two of those guys.
Yeah, I wish we can do the same in real life. That would be interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, when we're all equal pace, not a big difference. It's more about what livery is cooler for that year. But or if you've got a favorite driver, I guess that goes into it too. But we'll have to see. I mean, some guys too, that makes a difference. Like I know for me, I practice with the Ferrari because just seeing those colors, like if it's something different in the race, I guess it maybe throws me off a little bit. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a discussion, potentially changing teams myself. That's kind of under the weather right now. We're just waiting for this to finalize. Might have a power team out there, so I'm kind of just waiting for the word from Mr. Urban himself.
Well, that will be interesting for sure. Jaro and DRL have been into the pits. They've fitted some new sets of intermediates, and Jaro going purple through Sector 1. So we'll see what that's all about here as he continues to the finish line of this lap, see if he can dethrone Nick Knack or maybe push DRL to the side.
going back to the constructor, I think there is some guys that we cannot change. Like I cannot see Guzman not in a McLaren. Like how Dresden will be able to deal with that.
Yeah, there are
I'm
some
concerned.
staples, I would say for sure, that it would be weird to see them in another car.
Yeah. Even Dresden Cat will not be happy with that.
Yeah, Momo is not having it. So Jaro, that last lap, take a look at that time with DRL. Just
Yeah,
hundreds between the two of them.
That is very close.
I can definitely see Jaro and Racer, having a lot of battles in the elite tier. Like I've said, Jaro is usually pretty consistent. He just set a purple sector 2 on my screen, according to my screen. I don't know how true that is, as there's a lot of bugs with this game. And then for Racer, it's just he needs to be able to get through the entire race and finish. And if he does that and works on that consistency, and Jaro jumps up to P2 with a 1:11.3, so big improvement on that lap.
Yeah, huge. He's finding time, and I'm guessing he's overfilled that McLaren, so we could see that time continue to drop. Knick-Knack into the pits has fitted a fresh set of intermediates, and we may see another step forward for him in this session.
I'd like to see if Knick-Knack can get that time down to a 1:10, because that's only going to be 6 seconds off of the qualifying time in the drive for that tournament with Limitless, and that's a really good time if you can be 6 seconds off of a dry time.
Charlie Golf, currently on board with him. He's doing fairly well this lap. He's put in a good sector 1 that's in line with the top 3 guys. And now a sector 2 that is fairly well along as well. So maybe a sector 3 could move him up into contention here. And only a 10th and a half on that lap. So still pretty good, though.
Knick-Knack is on a flying lap.
Let's see what we got in here. He might be overfueled. He was 8/10 off of his time in sector 1, so I'm not exactly sure if he overfueled, maybe missed a braking point, or got a little loose off of the turn 3. Turn 3 is it's kind of a tricky corner. That's the one corner that takes time to figure out. Out of almost all the corners in this game, you just kind of get on your brakes really hard going up into it, and then just let the rear of your car kind of kick to the left to get that nose to angle into the apex of turn 3. And if you can do that, you can get a really strong run coming out of turn 3 as you make your way down to turn 4.
So Jaro and DRL feeling pretty confident about those times, about not being able to improve. They've both exited session. So we're down to Knick-Knack and Charlie as we got just about 20 seconds left in this session. Both should be finishing after this lap. I'm surprised those guys didn't go down to the wire, this being a total elapsed time event.
So Knick-Knack is a 10th and a half up on his time at the moment through sector 2. So final 2 corners as we're coming through. Let's see if he can get himself down into a 1:10 here. Really close to invalidating that on the exit, but he comes through with a 110.9. So
That's a
yeah,
solid
nice,
time.
really strong lap. Yeah.
I feel like the worst part about commentating as a driver is seeing your competition out there, and then you're sitting here like, I wonder what I could do in these conditions. Not that I'm anywhere
Yeah.
near beating Nick Nack here at Austria, but your curiosity runs rampant in the commentary box.
I'll probably be in the wall.
Gotta love the blatant honesty there. Although I feel that maybe it's not completely truthful.
The rain is definitely hard to understand throttle control.
Yeah.
You tend to get a lot of wheel spin, but it's fun.
So we're headed to our last qualifying session of the night. It's going to be the beautiful city of Baku, Azerbaijan. This is a race we saw not this season, but last season be absolutely devastating for the pro tier field. I think we only had 5 finishers in last season's Baku race. I know for certain I didn't finish this season's Baku race. It's always one that really kind of catches you out if you're not 100% concentrated.
I agree 100% with you. There was this individual I was racing with in a different league, and we were seeing who could put down the best Baku time. And we both got into the 140s, and every time I saw him jump me on the leaderboards in time trial, I was like, nope, not happening. And I ended up getting myself down to a 139.9, which at the time when I checked the leaderboards, I was sitting top 500 in the world on that track. It is extremely, you just have to figure it out. I mean, it's one of those tracks where you can't go into it and just drive it like you would drive, a Hungary or even Singapore. I mean, Singapore is fairly easy to drive in regards to understanding the braking points. But Baku, there's so many spots where it's extremely heavy braking, 90-degree corners, and the walls are so close. So like, whereas Singapore, you kind of some of the corners you have a little bit more leeway. But yeah, no, Baku's much tighter than Singapore is, and you really got to be focused, like you said, trackside. It's one of those tracks.
All right, real quick, while we're loading in, I'm going to bring up our standings here for the night, just so everyone who's watching can take a look. There is our leader after 2 rounds, Nick Nack, leading with a total elapsed time of a 2:22.466. Close behind is Jaro with a 2:23.234. And then the battle between him and DRL, very close, 3/10 over 2 events, which is crazy to think about, with a 2:23.521. Then we've got Charlie, currently our last man into the elite tier tonight with a 2:24.5. And then Arf and Allen putting in a good showing tonight. And we'll see if they can make up any ground here in Baku.
That's crazy how close they are and after 2 quali.
Yeah, a few tenths.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting for the next season if they are both making it to elite tier. That will be fun to watch if they're that close.
So we talked about where to place Knick-Knack in the lineup of elite tier drivers. Where do you guys think Jaro and Jaro and DRL very close? Like, they're, if we're setting a grid tonight, they'd be 5 and 6, right? Maybe not necessarily, but one right after the other. Where do you guys see them fitting in or slotting in the elite tier?
For who, Jaro and DRL?
Yeah.
I could see them being a really big top 10 contender.
Top 10.
Yeah, definitely top 10. Top 5 is kind of really cutting it close, just because you got some really fast guys up in the top 5. Between Walrus, Guzman, Reimer, Merck, myself. Trying to think who else I have. I'm in so many leagues, I can't even keep track of everybody. But yeah, I could definitely see them top 10, top 15. They're going to have to work for it. It's not going to be, just easy for them. I think the midfield will really tighten up in regards to battling. So you could see some very exciting commentary work for you this season trackside.
Boy, do I hope so.
I can see Dresden jumping off his chair again.
Oh my gosh! For that Italy race, that was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm looking at name right now for the next season, and I think it will be pretty close. Like even Walrus, I'm pretty sure he can put another season the same as he did. But if he's removing some assists, like when you have Walrus, Reimer, Urban, Guzman, even like Curveball, Merck, like all those guys, they will be all super close. I think the whole field will be pretty even, and that will be an exciting season.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's it's we've got so much talent now in the elite tier that it's going to be so hard to predict any kind of race outcomes come season 4. I mean, we had a hard time in season 3, right? Like Z-Milk, going from Z-Milk and Guzman battling it out every race for the lead in season 2 to season 3, them fighting for podiums. That was huge. And now next season, we're going to be adding in, more competition at their level. It's going to be insane.
And even Reimer, like he at the beginning of season 3, he was like ahead of everybody. He was winning everything. He was P1. Like I think they will. The beginning of the season, the first 2 or 3 race will be completely different than the rest of the season, because everybody will learn how to drive next to each other. They will learn the no assist. Like it will be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm already excited.
Yeah, everybody's going to be looking to stamp their names in that win column to start the season, and then you'll start to, see everybody kind of filter their way into a good position for themselves, and then you never know. I mean, you might have some track specialists, come through, and I think that can, kind of put a damper on everything as well.
Yeah.
So what's your goal, Johnny, next season? You want to win that championship?
I want to win everything. I want the constructors, I want the drivers. I want everything.
That's why you want to change constructor? You want to go with who?
That's going to have to be a little secret here. I mean, I'm just kidding. I'm looking at possibly teaming up with Knick-Knack. And it's not a matter of that we're both quick. I've just raced with him in many different leagues, and him and I understand the purpose of teamwork. We understand when to let the other one through, how to work together to, based on pace. Um, I did before in 22 DRL Racer X and myself, we were teammates. But we struggled racing as teammates, and it was just because we were so close in pace that we would pretty much battle each other on the track. And Knack and I, we've had multiple discussions when it comes to being teammates. Is yes, we can start on a similar tire. We are each going to have our track where we're going to dominate. But if we work well together and understand where one or the other is quicker and pace wise, we should be able to get through everything, like, all the races without any issues. And I know Knack has a teammate in a different league, and they've been teammates for like the last 3 or 4 seasons. They've raced together, and they've always had issues, and that was just because they would offset their tires, and then the one on the softer compound or the one on the harder compound tire would battle with the other one. So it really boils down to just making sure that you're communicating throughout the race, and we have a pretty solid way of communicating with each other. We both know we need to keep our focus, and we know that we like our chat to be quiet. We don't like a lot of talking when we're racing. I'm one of those guys that hate people being in my ears when I'm racing. Unless you're engineering for me, do not talk to me. Unless you're trying to give me some information off of the stream, don't talk to me. Because if I can be focused, I can be quick. If you're talking to me, you're making me lose all my focus. So I'm looking to team up with Knack and hopefully, make a splash in the elite tier and seeing what we can do together. I think this will be our first time ever racing on the same team if it happens. And I'm looking forward to it. I really think we could do some damage in the elite tier and put some team, good team finishes on the board for whatever team we're on.
Well, I think Nick Nack will probably enjoy your company, but I can tell you who he's not enjoying the company of right now is DRL. DRL, 1/10 back from Nick Nack as they've put in their first laps here. That is really close between the two of them.
Yeah, that's very, very close. And Baku is one of those tracks where everybody can be extremely close, or you can be very separated. There's really no in between, just because it's such a tight circuit that you either hit your points or you don't. And if you don't hit your points, you're gonna, cost yourself some time.
Yep, and this is one of those tracks, Baku, where a higher downforce setup pays dividends along that major straight. And I'm wondering if, it kind of going back to what I said earlier, I'm wondering if DRL may be able to make up some of that maybe predicted gap we thought could be there between himself and Nick Nack in a lower downforce setup here. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, I've also, like, I've seen people running like a 0-0 setup here, and this was in 22, and I never run a 0-0 setup. It didn't, in F122, it allowed you to run 0-0, especially on Spa, Monza, Baku, those tracks. But in this game, I actually tend to run more of a middle when it comes to downforce, and the end of sector 1 into sector 2 is exactly where you need to build all your speed and your gap. Sector 3 is such a long straight that, yes, having a higher downforce setup can affect you when it comes to somebody who's got a lower downforce due to straight line speed. But if you're in front of them going through the end of Sector 1 and then all throughout Sector 2, you're going to pull tenths on people. And it's like, it can be 3 or 4 tenths a lap. This is kind of one of those tracks where it's all about the setup. It's all about, hitting every mark with whatever setup you're running, whether it's a lower downforce or a higher downforce setup. So it can make things very, very interesting when it comes to qualifying.
Another thing too, that time from Nick Nack, he got a very good toe from Abdul Rahman down that straightaway. I really expected him to be 2 or 3 tenths ahead of DRL with the kind of toe he was getting. So I'm kind of surprised, and I think DRL could, if he can find a toe, which he's going to get one here from Abdul, maybe he can find a few tenths and get in front.
He's starting his hot lap. Go for it, trackside.
Yeah, he's working his way down into turn 1. This is one of those corners where in previous games you could ride that outside curb into your braking point, but this game you can't really do that. It more or less just floats you up off the ground and just carries you all the way through the braking zone into the runoff. But it's coming all the way into turn 3 now. Let's see what his sector time is going to be after Sector 1, which he's around turn 4, making his way down across the sector time, and he's only 7/100ths of a second up on his time at the moment. So
he doesn't need much more than that.
No, he doesn't. He only needs 2 more hundredths, and he'll be able to jump Nick Nack here. So now he's coming up through the castle section. Oh, he looks like he might have hit. Oh, gets a little loose coming on the exit of castle. So now he's making his way all the way down to that tight left-hander. You got to be hard on the brakes. Hope you don't get any rear locking. Looks like he got through there pretty clean. See what his time here is after this. Oh, and he's actually down. He's 8 tenths off of his time now. So he definitely lost some. He lost all that time through the castle section.
That's a shame because that Sector 1 was looking pretty strong.
Yeah, it was. Let's see where Nick Nack is as he's crossing Sector 1 here. He is going to be 3 tenths, almost 3 tenths up on his lap. So Nick Nack has found a lot of time as he's making his way down to that tight right-hander. This corner kind of really frustrates me because before you could run through that inside curve, this game you can't really do that. Makes his way up through castle, pretty clean on the exit, and really close to that outside white line, but he keeps it within the limits. He's going to head down into the tight left-hander now. It's going to be hard on the brakes. Hopefully no rear locking. Comes through pretty cleanly, making his way through the Sector 2 split, and he is 6 tenths up on his lap. So he gained 4 tenths there. So Nick Nack is actually flying on this lap here. He might be into the 140s at the end of this lap.
Well, we'll see what he can do. He's definitely making up time. Jaro, for the moment, has stolen that P1 away with a 141.4. But like you say, Nick Nack bringing a whole bunch of time as he's about to cross the line here.
Yeah, 140.896. So Nick Nack found 8 tenths on that lap. That's a very solid lap from him right there.
Yeah, it kind of tells me his first lap was maybe a little scruffy.
Absolutely.
He was still on Inter.
Did you say he was still on Inters?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to get out of the rain mood and back into dry. And that makes a huge difference too, because the difference you apply in throttle between wet and dry is significantly different and can really change everything. Watching Charlie, I did not catch his split time there after Sector 1, but
Yeah,
he's
he was
making his
up
way into that.
2.6.
Okay, so Charlie's starting to find some time here. Heading into castle section, nice and smooth. All on the exit of castle is where you're going to either gain or lose that time through Sector 2. Coming all the way down to this tight left-hander to start heading back downhill. Nice and smooth. In that corner, I think he could have possibly carried a little bit more speed to the outside on the exit. Obviously, the wall is super close, so you don't want to make contact with it. Is he slowing down? It looks like he might be. No? Okay. I don't know. The game looked like he was slowing down, but I think he still might be putting down a time here. No, it does not. Looks like he is actually going to pit. So he wasn't happy with his lap that time.
Allen behind in fifth is making up time. He's down 2/10 through sector 1. We'll see if he can make up any time through sectors 2 and 3 here.
Yeah, definitely really tight on the exit there. Carry a little bit more speed and you would be able to find a lot of time. But he's at 1.6 now on his time through sector 2. So he's getting ready to make a run towards the line. That's going to probably put him in about a 144 range here as he comes across the line. Just going to keep it to that outside wall, opens up the flap, makes his run down to the line, and yeah, a 146.265. So he found about a second and a half on his time there.
That's great for like someone who never play without all these assists.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kamakopa.
I'm glad that they participate in that, like Abdul and him, because obviously they have work to do with no assist, but they participate in that event. They stay until the end. They are still trying to improve their time, and I think that's what we want in CCRL. Like, even if you're a little bit slower, you're here, you're competing, you're trying to improve your time. And even if we didn't like highlight a lot of Alan and Abdul laps tonight, I'm still glad that they are here and they are participating in that event.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Because, I mean, you never know how much time you're losing. The McLaren of Jaro interfered on DRL Racer S's lap. But you never know how much time you're losing until you actually compete with them. Like, once you start competing with the guys who are a little bit quicker than you and, watching their laps or just going out there and being like, okay, I might be losing time here, or I might be losing time here. There's a lot of room for improvement, but that can help you push yourself to find that improvement. And especially on Baku, you're looking at a 11. No, we got some Abdul interfering with Mr. Knick-Knack here.
This is typical Baku for you, right? I mean,
yeah.
You're carrying so much speed that if someone moves in front of you, that you have almost no time to react, and can be session-ending consequences.
Absolutely, and that's the thing too. It just looks like Jarl got a little loose coming off of the exit of turn 1, but just finding that time is what's really going to make a difference for you as a driver. And then competing with the faster guys. And to be fair with you guys, I have raced in many, many leagues. This is the fastest I've ever been and the most confident in my speed I've ever been. And I've never won a championship. Never won a constructors, never won a drivers championship. And what I do for myself is I just continuously find leagues where it's going to be faster. And I think that's what makes CCRL really good is you guys work for, pace and you see the pace in your or your elite tier compared to your pro tier. And it gives everybody something to look forward to as they move up. Can I get faster? Can I compete with these guys? And that's what I'm looking forward to this season is really putting the hammer down. And can I beat Angry Walrus? On just pure race pace all the way across the board. And I think, if I put the focus in on CCRL and then another league that I run in, I think it can be an absolute banger of the season for all of us. Walrus himself, because I'm sure he got a little bored being up front by himself, and I would too. Just if I'm dominating some races, I get a little bored. It's not that fun. Just being that guy out front all by yourself, not battling with anybody. It can be boring. So I think the elite tier is going to be able to put on a show here this season. And I think the pro tier is going to be very interesting as well, especially with some of these uh, new individuals being into the league. So I think we're going to have CCRL is going to explode this season in regards to the commentary bots. I think there's going to be so many great clips for Mr. Komakopa to put on the TikTok. So,
Oh yeah, that's a good segue there, Damon. If you haven't already and you're in the chat, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube and our Twitch and our TikTok. We've got our content creator Komakopa, who is always putting our best clips up on TikTok, and there's been some really good ones over the past season. So make sure you subscribe to all those and follow us. We've got a couple weeks break here before we start the next seasons, which are going to be seasons 4 of Pro Tier and Elite Tier. But we'll make sure to put out those dates. So if you're subscribed or following us or like us, you'll get that info. I'm going to bring up.
what is the TikTok?
It's just CCRL F1. Isn't that right, Komakopa?
Yep, CCRL F1. Correct.
F1, yeah.
Okay, I followed it now. I gotcha.
All right, so there is our final classifications for tonight. Nick Knack, your leader in the Pro Tier promotion event tonight, taking that P1. Jaro taking P2, just a second and change over Nick Knack, and this is over 3 races, so it's incredibly close pace. DRL just behind Jaro there with less than a second between the two of them. Charlie in 4th, taking that last position in the elite tier. Arf and Allen, these guys came out tonight. They put their intentions down. So elite tier guys who are finishing at the bottom next season, Arf and Allen are ready to take those positions. So they're going to do another season in the pro tier, and then they will be, I'm sure, itching for a chance at the elite tier next year.
Power on.
So, I think that pretty much concludes our coverage tonight, fellas. Appreciate you guys coming and being in the commentary box tonight. It's been a real pleasure, to be honest.
That was fun.
Absolutely, I enjoyed all of you guys, coming out as well, and definitely enjoyed talking to each and every one of you, and hopefully was able to give some valuable advice when it comes to, understanding how to run with no assists, and looking forward to seeing the improvements that you guys will bring to the table next season. I mean, Komakopa, I remember the first race I raced with you, and your pace has just improved massively. Qualifying pace has improved and race pace, and the best thing you can say to Comacopa is your consistency. Making sure you get all the way to the end of every race is fantastic. So
And with
Yeah, and
no
I feel
penalty.
yeah, I think everything improved because of the guys that are around you. Like if you have clean guys around you and you can do wheel to wheel battles, and I'm just practicing during the week, and then I'm just waiting for that Monday night race, and I'm excited to just race with those guys. I enjoyed that league a lot. There is, like I said before, there is a lot of time and effort from the admin to make the league what it is right now. I met some really nice guy. I am teammate with the natural, and I enjoyed talking with him during the week to talk about like strategy and what setups and all that. And I agree that my pace improve. I want to improve a lot more. I want to remove assist, but nothing is possible if you're not in a clean league and racing with the same guys every single week. So I'm excited for next season. Congrats to the 4 that are going to Elite Tier. I will watch them through the amazing stream that Trackside and Dresden are doing, and I will enjoy racing with the rest of the racer in Pro Tier. That was really fun to be with you tonight, guys.
Hey, thanks, Komakopa. Appreciate you and the responsibility you've taken on as admin in this league. Want to recognize Bongit while he's still on too. He puts out all the amazing stats and graphics here in the league. Bongit, thanks for coming and joining us in the box tonight.
He's sleeping.
Yeah, we put him to sleep. So, hey, thanks to Komakopa, thanks to Bongit and Johnny Damon for joining me in the box tonight. Like I said, we're going to be back to racing. We've just finished up the season 3 tiers, and we'll be kicking off season 4 here in just another week or so. So stay tuned. We've got tons more commentary and racing coming for you as we start season 4. So as always, folks, on behalf of the box, I've been Trackside tonight. Keep living life to the checkered flag, and we will see you at the beginning of season 4. Have a great night.